Hey, what's up, good people? My name is Larry Jones, and this is Stock Up with Larry Jones. And I dare you to watch this video till the end. I want to prove why most of us are just sheep. You ever heard of the term Google it? Well, I'm going to bring you down a Google path, and I want you to Google it. And I want each and every one of you to leave me a comment here because I want to lay out our financial structure, the way this country started out, and why a small percentage of Americans, and depending on where you are across the world, you may be in the same situation. How most of us are just sheep. As we all know, that the U.S. was established July 4th, 1776. Okay, that's when the U.S. was founded. Well, guess what was founded just 16 years right behind that? In May 1792, just 16 years after the U.S. was established, 24 brokers signed a Buttonwood Agreement agreeing to trade securities directly with each other, marking the start of organized U.S. stock trading. This has been going on since May 17, 1792. Two key things. 1776, the United States was established, and then 1792, 16 years later, the New York Stock Exchange was established. But there were some key figures that you're going to see throughout this video. Their names are going to continue to pop up. We could see the richest family in the 1800s, families, particularly during the American Gilded Age, you can Google what time period that was, were the Vanderbilts, Rockefellers, and Carnegies. Okay, you can see here, who amassed fortunes from railroads, oil, steel, and real estate, alongside industrials like J.P. Morgan. Yes, the same people as J.P. Morgan Bank. Now, because the Carnegies, Vanderbilts, and Rockefellers controlled so much wealth, they controlled everything. So what happened was companies started doing what's called IPOs, initial public offerings, and offering people shares to buy a piece of the company so they could raise more money to expand, right? So now I want you to listen to this video clip.
Today, many of the world's biggest companies are publicly traded, but that wasn't always the case. One guy, and it was almost always a guy, used to call all the shots.
Big corporations of the 1900s, most of them at that time had a single shareholder like Andrew Carnegie, Vanderbilt, Rockefeller. They really exercised very tight control over these businesses. This all began to change in the beginning of the 20th century. We start to see the rise of companies like General Motors and General Electric and RCA.
Companies discovered what Jill discovered, that if you allow the public to buy shares, you can grow a lot faster. There are stock markets everywhere, but the New York Stock Exchange is the big kahuna. It's been around since 1792, when 24 stockbrokers put on their finest short pants and top hats and got together under a buttonwood tree on Wall Street in New York City. Today, it's where shares in big traditional companies like IBM and GE are traded. The NASDAQ is the cooler younger brother. It was born in 1971 and doesn't have a physical location. All the trading happens electronically. That's where you find tech companies like Apple and Facebook. So in America, if you want to know how the stock market is doing, you want to know how both these exchanges are doing. That's where indexes come in. They take a whole bunch of share prices and transform them into one clean number. The S&P 500 tracks 500 of the largest companies on both exchanges, while the Dow is a lot more exclusive. It only follows the 30 companies it considers the most important.
It's important to know that you don't have to be a stock picker to make money in the stock market. You can buy the S&P 500. Now, this is an older video. There's more companies. I believe there's 34 currently in the Dow. But there's roughly 500 in the S&P 500, sometimes a little under, sometimes more, all right? Mostly more, all right? So 500 and, some odd numbers. But you could buy the S&P 500. There is various ticker symbols you can do that with or under. Ticker symbol VOO is one that is the most popular. Okay, now let's remember those three names: Carnegie, Rockefeller, and Vanderbilt. Okay, because they had America's wealth, right? Oil, you saw that. Railroad, so they jump-started. Their names have been consistent with building wealth in America, the stock market, and even education. Let's go back to Google. Now, I put in here, did the Vanderbilts and Carnegies and Rockefellers have their hands in shaping the banking system? And the answer came up yes. Yes, the Vanderbilts, railroads, Rockefellers, oil, Carnegies, steel, and financiers like, there we go, J.P. Morgan again. So let's add J.P. Morgan, fundamentally shaped the modern American banking system and economy during the Gilded Age. There we go again. Now, you think your money is in the bank. Your money is not in the bank. Let me repeat that. Your money is not in the bank. It's lent out. They had the courage to do what some of you don't have the courage to do, and most of us were taught not to do, or we weren't taught to do, and that is investing it. As a matter of fact, some of you don't believe that we were taught to be this way. Well, let's read this right now. I put in here, let's see if we can just get that to come up. Did the Vanderbilts, Rockefellers, and Carnegies have a hand in shaping the public school system? And the answer came up again. Yes, the Vanderbilts, Rockefellers, and the Carnegies significantly influenced the American public school system primarily through vast philanthropic foundations, especially Rockefeller's General, you see here, GEB, General Education Board. Okay, look at that. You see that? Now, look at this. It says, especially vocational training, especially for the poor South. And when you go deeper, it had something to do with segregations because they didn't want blacks participating in that. So when we do come on and say, if you're black or underserved, you get it even worse. You need to listen more than anyone because you are at the bottom of the totem pole. So before someone else say what color has to do with it, it was set up that way. But that's not the point of this video. Let's go back because we're all sheep at some point. So you can see, not only did they control the banking, they controlled the school system. And the current school system is set up to teach you how to be a good, prompt, and docile factory worker. So you could work for the Vanderbilts, the Rockefellers, and the Carnegies, and the J.P. Morgans. You see how all of this ties in together? And let's go back to how they controlled the banks. Of course, J.P. Morgan. So you think your money is in the bank while they're paying you 0.01% right now. That's what J.P. Morgan is paying you, Chase. But your money's not there. Remember It's a Wonderful Life? And remember when they had a run on the bank, meaning the bank was underfunded, word got out, and people started running to the bank to get their money out because they thought things were about to fall apart. So they wanted their money out of the bank. Let's see if we can find that clip to It's a Wonderful Life. And he says something very important.
The bank's going to reopen next week.
But, George, I got my money here.
Did he guarantee this place?
Well, no, Charlie, I didn't even ask him. We don't need Potter over here.
And I'll take mine now.
No, but you're thinking of this place all wrong, as if I had the money back in a safe. The money's not here. Well, your money's in Joe's house. That's right next to yours. And in the Kennedy house, and Mrs. Maitland's house, and 100 others. You're lending them the money to build, and then they're going to pay it back to you as best they can. Now, what are you going to do, foreclose on them?
I got $242 in here, and $242 isn't going to break anybody.
Okay, Tom. All right. Here you are. You sign this. You get your money in 60 days.
For 60 days?
So now we've established some of the wealthiest families, Vanderbilts, okay, here we go again, Rockefellers and Carnegies and J.P. Morgan. And if you ask me, one of the most dangerous things they controlled was the school systems, because we are programmed to work in their factories, and that's how the school system was set up, okay? So now we've established that this has happened. But because of IPOs, more companies, more self-made millionaires were actually got from under the control of the wealthiest. And now what do? They sell you the stuff. Now it's manufacturing, and everything that they manufacture, they advertise. You are bombarded every day via radio, TV, YouTube, even this. You're going to see commercials, and it's going to be buy. Say grade school through high school and through college, you are taught to consume. And before you graduate college, they roll out the red carpet to the credit card people, and now you have credit card debt and school debt. Congratulations, welcome to America, greatest country in the world. Yes, but we're still sheep because they let us live, they let us buy houses and cars and good clothes and decent clothes, but who controls the wealth? Look at this. So the richest families now are who? Waltons, who they own? Walmart. Mars family, what do they own? Mars Candy Company, right? So they're advertising this, buy it. Believe it or not, I had some Mars candy today, all right? And so I'm not a big Walmart person, but you can see who owns what. These are some of the richest families, not the richest people, okay? Let's stick with Google, right? Let's just stay here. The liquidity of the richest 5% of American comes primarily from what? Corporate equities, stocks. So this is what I want you to see, good people, because it is time to make a change, like that whining song. The liquidity of the richest 5% Americans come primarily from corporate equities, stocks, mutual fund shares. So look at this. And a private business equity, right? But watch this, which are readily convertible to cash, unlike typical households whose wealth is concentrated in less liquid assets like real estate. You can see here, right? So now, is there anything wrong with real estate? No, but they own that, all right? Let's stay here. Let's keep going. I'm going to blow this up, right? I want you guys to get this. The top 10% of American households own a significant majority of the nation's wealth. This is what I want you guys to see. It will never be fair because the top 10% own 67 to over 70% of the total U.S. wealth. 10%, over 334 million people in the United States, and only 10% own more than half of the wealth. As a matter of fact, when we go through hard times, do you know that the 10%, especially the 5%, actually get wealthier? What else did I Google? Look at this. How much of the wealth does the top 5% own? Let me blow this up. Let's go here, all right? The top 5% of households own a massive share of the nation's wealth, which recent data suggests that they hold over 60%. So 5% of over 334 million people own 60% of the total wealth. If that is not a wake-up moment, nothing will wake you up. So then I put this in. Can anyone become a millionaire through long-term investing? Yes, virtually anyone can become a millionaire through long-term investing. Anyone. So you have to unlearn what you've been taught to just consume. Key points: start early, be consistent, live below your means, invest wisely and simply. You don't even need a complex strategy. Historically, the S&P 500 has averaged around a 10% annual return over the long term. Now, you got to stay the course. So we have to remove our emotions, and then we just have to stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Now, let me show you two more key things, and then we're going to wrap this up, because these are things I've been saying throughout the year, but I wanted to just lay this all out that you could see it with your own eyes. So now, they let us get a house, they let us get a car. As you know, a car is going down in value. It's not a liquid asset, okay? It's not an asset, it's a liability, all right? And then the clothes, the food, the jewelry, all of this stuff that we're taught. Our music is showing us, look at what I got, look at what I got, right? So then you're going to be responsible, right? You're the responsible one. So you put your money in the bank. The bank is making from 7 to 11%, and they're paying you 0.01%. Pick up the phone and call them. While wealthy people have theirs in a high, if they're going to have it in a bank account, it's going to be a high yield savings. That's what the wealthy do, okay? But then they teach you to work the average person works 37 years. And you know what they retire with? They teach you to put your money in a 401k, and the average person in the U.S. retires with around $270,000 in a 401k that you've put into for 37 years. $270,000. Good luck on living off of that for the rest of your life. And someone's saying, yes, Larry, but you're forgetting Social Security. Okay, well, let's put a whopping $2,000. As a matter of fact, the average 62-year-old is only getting around $1,400 to $1,600. So look at this. This is an average of $2,000. Okay, so you did the responsible thing and you invested your money in a 401k. You got the $270,000, right? Which every time you go to buy something, you're going to get taxed on that. Okay, and then you're getting an extra $2,000. Well, let me show you something that they should have showed you when you were in grade school. Had you just invested $10 a day, $10 a day. $10 a day is $3,650 annually. Let's say you started an account with $1,000. After 37 years, that same work period, let's just change this to 10%. Okay? Right? So we got everything. S&P 500, you just invested in the S&P 500 annually, $3,600 at the end of each year. See that? We're going to calculate that over that same time period. If you just invested in the S&P 500, you would have $1.2 million. But we are taught to retire with $270,000 and to be happy with this measly $2,000. You don't need a college degree. You don't need an Ivy League education. All you need is patience, patience, patience. Just $10 a day. Here it is right here. You would have $1.2 million in that same time period. So are you saying don't get in a 401k? Only be into the 401k up until where they match, because that's free money. And then you can put more money into this. This is what this whole video is about. You see how the stock market started. You see that the wealthiest people started the stock market. They absolutely infiltrated the school system and set us up so we can make them even wealthier. Then they controlled the stock market in the beginning until we got wiser. You can see that. And they controlled the banking. Okay, let's just say we're going to take the $36 and you and your mate got married early, all right? So you're going to take the 3650 times 2, and now we're going to turn that into 73, so 7,300, okay? Over that same time period, now you got $2.4 million. And so you say, Larry, I don't have that much time because I'm old now. Who wants to go that? Who wants to wait that long? I get it. Well, let's say you're 50, all right? So let's say you want to work until 65, all right? That's 15 years, okay? All right, for you 50-year-olds. You 50-year-olds, you can put right now $8,000 a year into a Roth IRA, okay? And let's just do that over 15 years, okay? Now, it's not going to be a lot. It's not going to come up to this, but you could see right now that in 15 years, you could make up basically what you're going to work 37 years to retire within your 401k. You can make that in 15 years. And if you want to make more, you put more in. Now, you can only contribute so much, $8,000 at the time of filming this, into a Roth IRA tax-free, but you can also start to add money into something else. And you say, well, I want to add more than that. Then you do that in other vehicles other than a Roth IRA so you can retire. Because you're late, you have to simply put in more. And a matter of fact, don't just look out for yourself, look out for your kids. Start your kids now. If your kids have a pulse and a social security number, you could start a Roth IRA, which will be tax-free if they wait until after 59 and a half, and they could have tax-free money in there, okay? If they have a pulse and a social security number, it doesn't even have to be your child. It could be your niece, nephew, somebody in your church, your neighbor's kids, okay? So that's all I wanted to show you, is that we are sheep and any of us can become wealthy. Now, if you really, really, really want to ramp up and put a lot of money in, but you don't have the means or the incomes, it's simple. Stop buying, stop consuming, and start investing. As a matter of fact, I suggest you get a side hustle. And I suggest you keep a side hustle for 3 years. As a matter of fact, try it for 1 year. Yourself, and if you're married, your wife. Say for 1 year, we're not going on a vacation, just for 1 year, and ramp this thing up and max it out for 1 year. And just then you can just get on the $10 a day plan, okay? Or you can get on the $50 a day plan, depending on your income, and watch what happens, okay? If you've enjoyed this, please share it with anyone that you come in contact with, your friends and family. And we're going to continue here to show you where we are putting our money and how we are ramping up our earnings, okay? Now, we give a lot of free information here. You can just stick here and we will help you to make money. We guide you. It's up to you to do your own due diligence. It's up to you to do your own homework. And we have some links below. Just hit the description on your phone or via YouTube, and you will see a drop down and you will see two things. One is Stock Up You. That explains everything you need to know to make long-term money. We also have an options class in there, and we also teach you everything you need to know to make money with crypto. That's Stock Up You. Learn and earn. And then behind that, the second link will be Money Moves. That's where you see where I am personally putting my money and how I am long-term investing, how I am swing trading, how I am doing options also, and my crypto buys. All will be in Money Moves. But if you want the true education, start with Stock Up You and then join us in Money Moves. Come back and join us here by hitting that like, subscribe, and notification bell as we make videos every week. We'll see you later. Live, love, laugh, and learn.